American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
Few towns in America are more recreation-oriented than Phoenix, Arizona and its surrounding suburbs. Of course, there's golf and more tennis courts per capita than any town in the U.S. and the beloved Sun Devils of Arizona State University. But for those who like their action on the fast side, just 10 miles east towards Tucson is Firebird International Raceway. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans. And as you can probably hear, Firebird Raceway has fired up for NHRA Championship drag racing. The third running of the Castrol GTX Fall Nationals, the next to the last race on the year-long Winston Drag Racing Series. Now, in the top fuel eliminator category, all the excitement this year has been generated by two men. Joe Amato from Pennsylvania, Dick LaHaye from Michigan. They have battled head-to-head through 12 races. Dick LaHaye has been in 5 final rounds. He has won 4 of those. Now, Joe Amato has only won 3 events, but he's been in 8 final rounds. He has more points. The most crucial race for both drivers came at the granddaddy of them all, the final round of the U.S. Nationals. It was Dick LaHaye a little bit late off the starting line, just enough to allow Joe Amato into the victory circle. Before the action began this weekend, I talked to both men about their chances for a world title.
You know, Steve, coming into this race here, we're 456 points behind. If we need to set low ET or top speed or both, which will accumulate us a couple or 100 points on that standpoint. If we could touch the national record, it'd be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen at this racetrack. With the high altitude and the temperature and the low humidity, it's hard to make these cars run as fast as they will in other places. We also need to go a couple rounds ahead of, or finish a couple rounds ahead of Joe so that we can accumulate a few points that way. There's 200 points around, and then that way going into the World Finals, you know, we'll be a little bit closer, and then we can just race head-to-head for it.
Joe, what do you have to do to fend off Dick LaHaye for the overall World Championship? What's your plan?
Well, basically, we're just going to go out and race. You know, it's hard to try and look ahead and second-guess yourself. There's 8 rounds of racing left, and we've got to do whatever he does within 2 rounds of that.
You've been thinking about this?
Oh, yeah, you run it over in your mind. There's no doubt about it. You know, you want to, you know, not make any mistakes, but you know, to try and second-guess and qualify funny or do anything like that, you know, you don't want to do any of them things. You want to just go out and race hard and try and win the 2 races. Then that just eliminates him having a chance. You know, that's our goal.
There's a young man who drives a bright red dragster that could spoil the plans of both the men I just talked to. His name is Daryl Gwynn, and he set the elapsed time record at 5.08 seconds at the Texas Motorplex 2 weeks ago. Neither LaHaye or Amato wants to draw Daryl Gwynn in the early rounds for very obvious reasons. Well, this young man, Daryl Gwynn, could be the spoiler in this whole deal, Daryl. If Dick LaHaye or Joe Amato meet you, they may very well come out on the losing end. You could determine this thing.
Well, that's true, Steve. As a matter of fact, our performance up these last couple of races is going to mean a lot. You're exactly right when you say spoiler. I could be a spoiler and we could be a winner. We could spoil it for them and we could be a winner at the same time. You know, we do have a shot at the World Championship and we can also spoil it for one of them too. I don't mean to spoil it for them too. I'm the one that's wanting to be on the winning side, but spoiling it for them is what they're worried about.
But it was not meant to be. All the power in the world won't do you any good if the transmission is stuck in reverse gear. That's exactly what happened to Daryl Gwynn earlier today in Top Fuel Dragster round number 1 action. The crew frantically rocked the car back and forth, could not get it in the forward gear, and that gave Larry Minor a bye run. He automatically advances to round number 2. Now, that was all earlier today. Now, for more on earlier action here at Firebird, here's Paul Page.
Well, Steve, in Top Fuel qualifying, Gene Snow provided some real excitement in more than one way. First of all, for a while, he was the #1 qualifier, and it was a result of this particular run right here. Now, watch very carefully at the back of the car as, boom, just before he gets to the line, the engine lets go, the blower belt flies through the air, but still, Gene Snow with that run was the #1 qualifier. Now, look at it again. Look, the fire and flame as the oil burns away at the back of the machine, and Gene Snow goes on safely into the shutdown area. Here it is just one more time. Gene Snow, with this run, became the #1 qualifier, and I think everyone was surprised about that, not the least of which was Gene Snow. You see the car now rolling to a stop, and at the end, Gene Snow really expressed his surprise.
525 for low qualifier, but a little noisy.
Yeah, we should have been running 1,000-foot track, I think.
What do you think? That's no problem for you, is it?
It's called O2 lean. No, we just get a little bit richer. It'll be all right.
Gotta be happy with the run.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to do that good. It quit at about 1,100 feet.
No kidding.
Yeah, slapped me in the head a little bit. It's all right.
Go back, new motor, out and ready to go.
Oh, yeah, maybe we'll just put a blower on.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
But his position didn't last. When Joe Amato ran shortly thereafter, he became the #1 qualifier with a 524. Now, also today, we're going to be looking at the top alcohol funny cars. And there, Pat Austin, already the world champion, is the #1 qualifier. In addition, we'll be visiting again with Pro Stock, where Bob Glidden was the top qualifier, continuing his unprecedented streak in that position.
Well, now we mentioned that we're going to be seeing alcohol funny cars, so let's take a look at Pat Austin's machine here. Now, externally, it looks a great deal like the funny cars that are running nitro. And when we lift the body off of it and take a look inside, again, it looks very much the same. In fact, this engine is actually larger than the funny car that burns the nitro fuel. Of course, we're talking alcohol all the way through the system here. They can go up to 557 cubic inches. This one happens to be 525. A nitro-powered car would be a 500 cubic inch engine. In the gearbox department, a little change there, too. The funny car, nitro-powered, would run 2 speeds. This is a 3-speed machine. But, of course, these provide some incredible excitement. Steve?
Thank you, Paul. The largest crowd in the history of this 4-year-old facility has jammed the grandstands for the Castrol GTX Bowl Nationals. And it's a perfect day. Temperature about 85 degrees, humidity 20%. It just couldn't be any nicer. And now it's time for round #1 of Top Alcohol Funny Car. There is the Trans Am bodied car of Lou Gasparelli. Gasparelli glides into the water, then hammers the throttle in high gear to smoke those tires. As most of you know, that's called a burnout. The fans love him. And here's his opponent, Art Hendy. Now, Hendy is having the best day ever in his drag racing career. He's qualified in the 4th position. Gasparelli was qualified 8th.
Gasparelli came in with a 645-219 to Art Hendy's 637-223. These are really hot little machines, the top alcohol funny cars.
They are indeed. Lou Gasparelli, a former Winter Nationals champion. He's from Monrovia, California, just east of Los Angeles. Art Hendy, well, he's a little further east of Los Angeles. This car and team is based in San Bernardino, California.
When you take a look at Art Hendy in the picture, it doesn't tell you how really tall he is. He's a giant of a man. I'd say about 6'5", and he really has to scrunch down to climb into this top alcohol funny car.
And this car of Hendy's, Paul, has got a few seasons on it. You can see the windows are not completely enclosed like the later model cars. The front end it shows the design of a couple of years ago. But apparently the car doesn't seem to know that because he has qualified 4 positions higher than Gasparelli. Gasparelli, who generally is at the top of the pack, may have his hands full with this fellow from San Bernardino. As they move up the stage, I stand corrected. Gasparelli is not using a Trans Am body. This beautiful new car has a topaz fiberglass replica shell. As they move up the stage, Hendy is already in waiting for Gasparelli. Hendy makes the final move, positioned exactly on the starting line. The pro start of the Christmas tree, and Hendy with a wonderful hole shot. Art Hendy reacted perfectly to the green. Gasparelli was not his usual self off the starting line and just shuts it off. He knew this one was over, Paul.
Art Hendy with a 641, 221 miles an hour to a losing 718, 150 miles an hour. Hendy got the whole shot there.
All right, here's the second pair in round 1 of Top Alcohol Funny Cars. This will be the machine of Richard Hartman against Pat Austin. Now, Austin is really a force to be reckoned with. In fact, he has already been crowned the world champion in this category. And there again, a good shot of that thundering smoky burnout. And it's up to the crews at the starting line to back these cars up at exactly the tracks they burn out in, or that whole effort is worthless. All right, while this pair is backing up and getting ready, let's go down to the far end of the racetrack and Paul Page.
All right, Gasparelli shut down early on that one.
I guess I was ahead of him, so he decided to shut down.
6:41, though. That equals best time of this session, sir.
Not too bad, huh? We were hoping for the low 30s.
What's slowing it down?
Just the air. The air went away.
Awful hot today.
Yeah, really bad. It was like 97 degrees.
Any changes going to the next round?
No, we're just going to tune it up a little bit. You know, use a Chuck Worsham tune-up, and that's about it.
You're looking good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck Worsham, the crew chief on that car, and there is Lou Gasparelli coming in to offer his congratulations. All right, here we go. Back behind the starting line now, the Richard Hartman Corvette-bodied funny car. The car over there is Virgil Hartman.
And, of course, the driver is Richard Hartman, a 20-year-old machinist from Laverne, California. He will be facing in this round the already world champion from Tacoma, Washington, the family team of 22-year-old Pat Austin.
Austin, one of those second-generation drivers, Paul, who is just destined to drag race. His father before him did. In fact, now tunes this car. His uncle, Bucky Austin, a very well-known drag racer out of the Northwest. Here's Richard Hartman, just 20 years of age. If he could defeat Pat Austin, that would be the biggest win of his still young career.
You know, one thing we see in these alcohol-powered cars, unlike the top fuel cars that we'll be seeing a little bit later, is they bring the revs up plenty early on the starting line.
That's right. Tremendous RPM off the line. They don't have all of that horsepower. They don't have 3,000 horsepower to launch the car, so they do it with a lot of torque multiplication. And, of course, they're busier in the cockpit, too, because they make an extra gear change. Far lane, Richard Hartman, near lane, moving in is Pat Austin. The flash of yellow, then green, and Hartman having some problems. The young man shuts it off, and Pat Austin hammers it through with a 6.34. That's the kind of time you heard Hindi ask for a little earlier on, and a big speed for an alcohol car, 221 miles per hour. So Pat Austin, to really no one's surprise, moves into round number 2 here at Firebird. 2 more races to come in this round of Top Alcohol Funny Car. We'll have that and more when we come back.